Mr. Bruno de Corte. He is a historian from Belgium and will present local volunteers acting as community curators, the Rupel experience.
Thank you very much. I also thank the last speaker because it was so interesting to see how the landscape is literally eaten by industry. And in fact it is the same story that I present also. So the impact of industry can go very, very deep. So my topic is local volunteers acting as community curators. What is the experience that we have in Belgium? So the expression community curators is relatively new. It comes from the United States. It involves the idea of civil society. How must I say? It's a very interesting topic. So, my name is Bruno de Corte. I am from Belgium. Belgium is a state divided into two major entities. The south is Wallonia, is French-speaking. I am from the north, Dutch-speaking, which is called Flanders. Yes. So Flanders is very known from its splendor of the Middle Ages. Flemish art is really worldwide appreciated. This image is really one of our national treasures. It's an icon of Flanders. I know this picture since I was a schoolboy, and I was astonished to discover 2 weeks ago that the Madonna is sitting on an Azeri carpet.
Yes.
Can you imagine? We are talking about globalization. This is the Middle Ages, this is 15th century. So that far goes the influence of Azeri carpets. Okay, the definition of a community curator. These are people from a local community who are interested, who collect knowledge and want to share this with a public, local or general. That's in a short way the definition of a community curator. Now, concerning the area, there we saw these Baku oil fields. This is a limited area. The same is the Rupel region. So Rupel refers to the river. It is to Eastern standards perhaps not a very big region, 46,000 kilometers. And there is no center, there are in fact 5 communities. You must imagine the region as a hand with 5 fingers. Total population is about, now it's 58,000 inhabitants. So, you see Belgium, the north, Antwerp, and then you have the river, and you have the communities. What is a kind of geographical miracle? It is the bone cuesta. The bone cuesta is an expression from geological science. There is a huge clay layer who comes to surface just at the right bank of the river. So on the left bank there is no clay, but the right bank is completely consisting of a very consistent, very solid clay. Already the Romans, when they invaded Belgium, they used this place to find clay for what we call veldbrand. I will explain this later on. Now here you see a picture, Baku style. You see what are the elements. First you have to dig out the clay, so you create clay pits. Then you have to mold the clay, so you need open space to mold it and to dry it in a short period. Then you need large sheds, very large sheds, to let them dry. The ovens where the production is close to the river. So you see, here have been the guards, here is the river. Here are the kilns, and here is the transport, because bricks, you cannot transport bricks by, yes, okay. So you cannot transport bricks by wagons, you will have terrible losses. You use barges, so very typical, the river, the barges. You see the kilns, you see the drying sheds, and then huge, let's say, at the end of the picture you see the excavations. So the whole industry moves up and up and up and eats the landscape. So this is the barge. We were happy to recover one barge, but we expensive, so it has been cut open as a kind of exhibition center. Again, the landscape is so impressive. It's completely industrialized. You see the kilns, you see the sheds, and where do the people live? Well, in between. So, where no industrialization was possible, there the people lived. So, it's a very essential point. You get a fragmentation of a landscape, and you get, psychologically, a fragmentation of the spirits. People formed very small, very strong communities. And this has its effect till today, as also its effect on musification. Here you see some brick workers. It's very hard to find pictures of them. I like this picture a lot. You see these are poor people, these are workers, but they have a certain pride. They were very proud of being a brick worker. So these were workers, but not slaves. They had a very strong identity. Also, it's very interesting that they pose with the tools. So this, it is also a family affair, because the most heavy work, I don't know how many of you have been playing with clay when they were a child. Molding the whole day, molding thousands of bricks a day, you need really much force. So this was the work of the husband, of the father. The mother assisted, and the children or other women, they took the molds and in the first stage let them dry on the ground. So very important is the child you see. The child is wearing this iconic material, the mold. By the way, child labor was very, very common. So this is, in fact, the symbol of the region. It's the mold. Can you imagine millions of bricks have been passed by such a simple tool? Now, there's always been brick making, but this brick making was non-continuous. It was what we call veldbrand. So you need bricks, okay, you mold them, you build an oven for only, let's just say, for only use it once. And when you need more bricks, well, you build a new oven. And the big revolution in the 19th century was continuous brick making. It is all coincidence. You have the right demand, you have the right answer from technology. The solution was the Hofmann kiln, which has a continuous production. So it was the first kiln made to produce 24 hours on 24 hours. So they had a huge output. Now these Hofmann kilns, because you need, you need a lot of raw material, so the sheds become considerably longer the moment these ovens were involved. There were hundreds of them. First one was 1873, I believe. That is an industrial landscape. Hello, Baku, you see how industry eats up the landscape. Can you imagine that in such a machine still people live? Yes, they live somewhere in Belgium, and they produced very fine artworks in ceramics. And we had also glass. Again, everything is interconnected, as in Belgium and Flanders. The glass came from Spanish immigrants who have been fleeing for Franco. They came in the Rupel region and they said, we can make glass. So you see, political factor interferes with industry. Now, I try to summarize it a bit. You seen this picture with this enormous industry. Asbestos, radioactive, we have a complete collection of that kind of materials. Here you see, suddenly, it's a question of a few years, suddenly the whole industry broke down. The river is at the horizon. You see the huge chimneys, which have been disappearing one by one. And you have the sheds. The chimneys disappeared because they start crumbling after a while if you don't use them. The sheds, well, the wood was used for firewood. And I have read an article about Chernobyl. Even there, nature takes back. I don't say that there are no problems, but you have the process of renaturation. So this is Malmenhoek. This is one of the largest pits, and thanks to a lot of energy, they have been preserved as landscape. And it is amazing. It is amazing how these pits, because the clay itself is not toxic, and the rainwater treatment is not toxic at all. So you get quite rare species in a short time. So we have a peaceful invasion of this one. Don't worry, they are only that big. But it is a very, very rare animal. This fight was not without problems, because there were everywhere these pits. The government at that moment had an idea, which is typically from the 60s in Europe, the green belt theory. All these old things, just destroy them, just put some nice green grass over it, and as a miracle, new industries will come. What was the problem? These huge pits had to be filled, and they had to be filled quickly. And there came the waste industry, we call it the waste mafia, came in and started filling the pits at the very and it was completely secret, and there would be stored nuclear waste, but that it leaked out. And to reveal the secret, they have put a red arrow. Here it is. And so the plan did not succeed. So you see the three artists 40 years later, they are still in good condition. Okay, so it is not an easy story how a depressed area can take its rebound. The 70s you have grassroots movements, then you have a first museum. So in the middle of this whole waste crisis, people started also collecting things, reflecting on history. Then we were happy that government created a kind of environmental police, OVAM, who checked out finally all these deposits. And then the real rebound came in 1983, when there was a moratorium on waste dumps. So suddenly government said, stop. Stop, we don't give any other permission, any new permission for filling up pits. How is the situation today? It is remarkable. So if you see the housing prices, they tripled, so that means people are happy to invest in the region. Well, so this is a nice example of civil society. Even in a depressed area, people can realize some things. And it was, how must I say, it came from everywhere. People were going to archives, people were repairing sheds, people were running museums, people were doing interpretation and guided tours, people were doing political lobby work to get things done. So it was a kind of, how must I say, a moment of glory. It was essentially grassroots. That means you have 5 local initiatives, and that's what I say about this fragmentation. The policy is positive, complex, but slow. So first there was the moratorium. So the first mistake was the landfill policy, that the government invited business plan to fill the pits. And the monument protection came very, very late. I will make it a bit shorter. The strategy of government is on 4 axes. The big problem was to have a holistic plan. There were economical plans, there were environmental plans, there were a lot of things, but it was not a whole. And this, only in 2010 we had a holistic plan with 3 axes: economy, nature, landscape, experiencing the area, and in that fits the museum. But also this is not without problems. So, in general, if you have a museum, what do you see? That the focus of the official bodies is on tourism, developing tourism, and developing a kind of, well, we call this regional narrative, which is linked to create also a more positive image of the region. Or what must I say, where is it not working so good? There is not enough preservation. Perhaps everything went too smooth till now, so there is, what must I say, there is exactly. So here you see the nature regeneration. You see a lot of green. You have a lot of tourism. But the white spots are in fact black spots, because in the white, there are the pits which are still filled. So the ecological problem is bicycle tourists here, that's a good achievement. Very spectacular is one pit was only half filled. Normally a pit is 30 meters deep. This was only half filled. And they created a recreational zone on it. And it is the home base of Tomorrowland, one of the, I believe, the biggest dance festivals in the world. Here you see. And you see still, if you look to the left, you see the slope. Normally the slope of a clay pit, it is much steeper. But for the people that they can sit and watch, they have altered the slopes. So you see a kind of governmental services can say, yay, okay, how many visitors do you get? Well, with all the initiatives together, we have 8,000 visitors a year, which is not bad at all. Focusing too much on tourism. Very concrete. If you use your volunteers to attract tourists and to do guided tours, they are not able to restore. So the restoration process stops, because it were them who did restorations, and you get this. I don't want to shock you, but this is a museum. The museum is in the kiln, and the kiln is very solid. It's like a bunker, but the whole roof collapsed. And now the question, who is going to repair this? And such a task goes beyond individuals, goes beyond volunteers. Another, I call this difficult ally, are developers. On one hand, developers are good, because they bring a lot of capital in the region. They achieved most impressive results. They took the brink of inventarization programs, are extremely cost efficient because they cost nothing. They are strongly embedded in the local community, so they can move things. They are the backbone of this regional narrative. And what is most charming is the passion. These are not people paid for doing the job. They do guided tours with a lot of passion. Now, negative is, of course, if 5 museums all start collecting the same story, you have a lot of overlapping in the collections. The safeguarding is not always professional. The aging is a major problem. You cannot send a volunteer of 85 years up to the roof to repair the tires. It's physically impossible. And the focus is sometimes too local. So just, I have to summarize. So just one point, the government had the idea, but why don't we create one museum for the region? It would be more interesting. So we closed down these 5 museums and we create a modern, new one. But then I told one of these people, I said, yes, but you are constructing an identity. The real identity are these local communities. So it is perhaps not very rational, but it is still very, as I say, very realistic. Okay. So, conclusions in general, the Rupel experience is a really positive story. In the long run, I am very, very doubtful. There is a great need in more investment, also on local level. And finally, government policy should improve heritage and landscape protection. So, I thank you. I thank my invisible angel, the translator. I thank the conference workers, and so on. It is all list. And I thank my sponsor, who helped me in buying my tickets. Thank you so much.